Hey guys, my name is Lad, and today we're going to be doing art, and we are also going to be using the Wheel of OCs once again. Let's hope we don't get one of those super big stories that have too many characters and you'll need a ton of context. Let's go! Okay, so the story that I got was The Dragon and the Witch, which is about a lonely witch girl called Gracie and a Draconis, is what I'm calling him, named Percy. So I made a second wheel because I'm just going to draw them separately, but here are two pictures that I made the day that I came up with the story of them. Super depressing. The first one I made, and I made the second one right after it, and it's like such different styles. And it's actually the first time that I used the technique that I have for their eyes, the completely round. And the first time that I had drawn in my style in a very long time, because I was animating the compilation for the MCPC podcast. Go check it out, please. Anyway, so I'm drawing Gracie. Gracie is a witch, as I've said, and the picture is basically she's doing magic, but it kind of backfires and she's getting exploded away, So the story comes from a dream that I had where in the second part of it, I was in this school and it was like some magic school anyway, but we had to find partners for this project and I could not find one. So this guy comes up to me and he's like, so this guy comes up to me and says he overheard me being super upset about not being able to have a partner. And I'm like, okay, yes, I do need a partner. And he's like, hey, my name's Percy. I want to help you out. And so I'm like, okay. And then he hands me his phone. He's like, go ahead and give me your number so I can find you. And it had the weirdest looking keypad ever. And I was like there for like 30 minutes while he was like blabbling on about something, trying to get my number in, like my real life number too. So it was hilarious. Anyway, that's when I found out, oh, he's like a dragon thing. So yeah, that's the kind of story behind it. So their story is roughly based around the dream. So Gracie has this project that she needs to get done, and she doesn't have a familiar to do it with. And a familiar is like a witch's pet, I think, because she is actually too powerful for a familiar, and she's burned her familiars. So, yeah. So anyway, she has to do this project, and he's like, oh, hey, I'll help you, because he's a super bubbly and super energetic person. Honestly, he's one of my favorite guy characters. But so Gracie is definitely more shut off from everything, and she's like, okay, I'll let you help me and I can get done with this entire thing. But she ends up, for the project, they end up getting closer, becoming really good friends. And later on in the story, they keep on finding things out, super dark secrets about their school that they go to. And they get trapped in this underground tomb or temple under the school for who knows how long. It's kind of like Lee Pike Ridge. And this is when oh, hey, Percy's going to lean more into his Draconis side, which is a side that he already feared and he didn't want to get in touch with because he was like, oh, people don't like dragons. They don't. And I finally found a person who will accept me, and he didn't want to scare her or anything. So, yeah. So as you can tell from this picture, she is a klutz. She's a really big klutz. And this is one of the reasons that all her familiars no longer exist. She is a very powerful witch, and she definitely does make a lot of explosions a lot of the time. So she's kind of in their science hall, and something goes wrong and bingo, boom. So not a lot about this picture. The eyes definitely mess me up. She has a very certain type of shading for her hair though. Like even for the front parts. In the picture you can see it's kind of like triangular. And it's very unique, and this is what makes them one of my favorite couples. There's a lot of personality going on, a lot of really cute interactions, and you got a klutz, and that's gonna make things interesting. Anyway, what took me the longest part in drawing this was the lighting. Now, I did shade her. Like, I do two different types of shading. I do, like, the normal shading, which is the blue, the black, and the red shading for the skin, the eyes, and all that jazz. But then there's also, like, the ambiance shading that I do, where I apply a dark red, dark blue, or dark black, whatever the type of scene I'm trying to go with, shading over it, which I really love because it gives a really moody scene. And that's where a lot of you see like shadows and lights and where the light's coming from. So with the normal character shadowing, I actually did add some like around the back, because you can see that the light source is her wand, and it's dark outside, so there's not a lot of light source coming back there. And there's some smoke and ash, and there's not much to talk about. It took a long time to try to figure out what was missing from this picture. But anyway, I had a really fun time drawing her again. As I've said before, she definitely is one of my favorite characters. And it was very neat to get this story, because then I could draw both characters who are in it, because a lot of my stories only have 2 characters. So it makes it really easy to make a video like this that I only have to draw 2 characters, because it takes a long time to draw. It does. It's like 45 minutes, and I'm always really scared about how long the video is going to be, but, you know, it's fine. So now let's get into drawing Percy. So with Percy's a completely different story. I had so many ideas for him. I wanted to draw him, like, the footage you're seeing here is my second attempt, because I wanted to draw him, like, flying up, because he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy and so excited because I just talked to Gracie, and I'm so pumped, you know? I'm really happy because she's like accepting me and stuff. And so, hi dog. Sorry, my dog was yawning in the background. Anyway, so I decided to go for a pose. That's a lot more leaning into his side, where he's like, oh, I do really need acceptance, and I want acceptance in these situations. And so he gets really nervous, because I would expect in this situation he's like talking to Gracie, and they're like, are we friends? We friends? Like, I know you get annoyed with me a lot, but are we friends? Anyway, quiet. Sorry about all that background noise. Anyway, so I changed up his hands, because in his Draconis form, he technically has claws, and in my style that translate to pointy fingers. So I was really difficult to draw his wings. It was really difficult to draw a lot of his parts. With his tail, I had to make sure I got the anatomy right and all that stuff. Anyway, going on, I had swatched all his colors before, because I didn't want to bring up more. And his coloring is a lot more dark shade, red shades, warm shades, and Gracie's is a lot blue, and she wears like blue and purple, and her hair is literally purple. So it was definitely different. I tried to draw poses like this that show a lot more like body language, and drawing the wings. The wings were probably one of the most difficult parts of this video. First of all, I have never drawn dragon wings that need to be in like high resolution. I'm gonna keep on pulling up the same 2 pictures that I have of them, but as you can see, you can't really see the stuff. You can't really see his wings. And with his hair is also a very similar color to his his hair is a similar color to his horns, so it looks like it blends in, but still it works. I really love his color scheme, and I feel like it kind of matches the whole sense that he is a draconus. He's like a dragon person. The fact that he's all of these things, and he's still like, he's this super bubbly person and full of energy, and is super nice, and is more stereotyped to be the opposite of what he is. Other than that, besides, like, there's not a lot more story elements that I can share. There isn't a lot of things that I can add. I'm gonna say this again. This is one of my favorites. I really love these two. They're such a dynamic duo. I really loved being able to have them be the 2 that I draw for the first time in a really long time in my style that I have today. It's like an honor. Anyway, I'm just gonna let you sit in silence for a little bit. Okay, so with the background, which is what's about to start happening, it was really difficult for me to try to get, because at first I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put this in a more dark mood, because this is like, sort of, he's like, are we friends? Or this could be interpreted as a confession. So at first I make the light source, and I make it more like sunsetty, and I make the light source at the bottom, but then I do flip it later on, because it's not really that, it didn't look that good at first. So you'll just see footage of shading, and what I normally did, and what I normally do is I have that extra layer on top where I will have the opacity down to 50, because 50 is my go-to zone, and then I will erase certain parts of where the light source is coming from, just giving it a little bit more ambience than the hard shadows that I applied to the character. I feel like it does add a lot more. When it comes to eyes, however, I do erase the entire thing, and I don't add much. There's no shade, the black shading in it. When I'm adding the ambiance shading layer, so they're just like pure and glowy, because I feel like, oh, that gives it more ambience, however you want to say it. Ambiance sounds fancy. Anyway, it did take a while to get what I wanted, but I feel like it turned out really well. I was really pleased with how the 2 drawings came out. To see my babies by themselves having their own pictures. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed listening to my dog yawn in the background as I recorded this. So, whenever I do a face reveal, sure, I'll show her off too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. See ya!